All right. This is the Fedora release tooling demo. We had to miss last time's demo because all of our time was consumed with getting releases ready. Today's demo will be fairly short as we're preparing for work on F25 deliverables. So I'll be going through the list of things that we plan to work on for F25 just as an opportunity to socialize things if people have feedback and just to make people aware of what we're going to be working on next. And we have a couple of minor things to show on the Punji side, including how we're going to be managing roadmaps there going forward. And then we'll wrap it up for the day unless there are other questions or requests that people would like to see us run through. So I'm going to hand it to Lubos to run through the Punji side of things to get us started.
Okay, thank you. And hello, everyone. Let me share my screen. Hope it actually works. So what I hope you are seeing right now is the roadmap for Punji. All this work is tracked in Pagure with regular issues that we have been using, well, pretty much since F20, well, since Christmas. And the way the roadmap works is that we file issues as usual, and whenever the issue gets a tag roadmap, it ends up on this page. And it's possible to categorize them into milestones. So right now we only have one milestone for F25 and one task that is currently unplanned. Well, it is planned to be done, but not necessarily in F25. This is actually configured in the settings. We can set milestones, any number of them, and they can include a date, but that is optional. So let me introduce some of the planned work for Punji in this release. So one issue that we need to clean up is the way how the everything repo is done. This is the repo that actually includes all the packages in the release. And currently the way it's done is that in the definition of the everything variant, there needs to be a list of every single comps groups, which is not very manageable. So we need to clean this up and do it the right way. Another issue that's planned is improve the way Punji validates the configuration, because as you may have seen in previous demos, and you will actually see today as well, the configuration file is very big and can be easy to make mistakes in it. Like you can forget some part or miss something, and you wouldn't know until runtime. And it sucks to run the compose for a few hours only to be told that, hey, you forgot to include a comma here or something like that. So we want to improve that. And the last two planned issues are actually related to how the compose is shipped. Since some parts of the compose go into different hosts so they can be mirrored in different ways, we need to change how it's composed in the actual place where the compose is created. Right now, it's all in one location, every single variant. We need to be able to say that primary architectures go in one place and the secondary go in another. So in the last issue, number 128, is again related to architectures. What we want to improve is to make sure that we can say when building, for example, images, we need to be able to express that x86-64 image is release blocking, and if it fails to build, then the whole compose is busted. But secondary architectures, say 32-bit images, are not release blocking. So we want to build them, but if it fails, well, it's not a big deal. We just go on without them. Currently, we don't have a way to do this on this granular level. And to get this working, we will need to make some changes in Koji as well. So that's it for the roadmap. And the second update on Punji side is that we have started making the 2-week atomic compose with Punji as opposed to the script that was doing it previously. It was this script, and the relevant part is this invocation of mock and calling Lorax. As you can see, this is not something that is easily manageable, so we have moved this into a compose done with Punji. The configuration looks like this. There's a lot of boilerplate that's actually required here, although it doesn't have any effect on the final compose. The compose itself does not build any YAM repos. It doesn't gather packages. It doesn't do any of this. The interesting part is all the way down to the bottom of the configuration file where it defines the images that it builds. The images get their repos and install trees from the latest F24 compose, and they just build the images. Some of these images are actually built in the regular F24 or rawhide compose. This is just so that they are grouped in one place and we can easily work with them. The nice thing about doing this thing with Punchy is that we get all the logging, all the message bus integration that all the other composes have. So that's it from my side. It's back to you, Amanda, now.
All right, so I will share my screen just to run through some of the things that we plan to work on for the F25 cycle. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see what I'm sharing. So what I'm showing you right now is the list of tools changes that we're planning to work on now. As you can see, there are some things that we're still investigating, so we filed those as a need more info item. Just as a reminder for anybody who didn't see us run through this for F24, the priority pipeline page under the release engineering section of the Fedora wiki is something that we try to keep updated with the big projects that we're working on for releases. So if at any point you want to see our priorities, our backlog, you want to influence something or just get some information, then you can always come here. So the first thing that we're going to be working on, and this is something that we're the direct team that we usually are giving updates from, is not necessarily involved with, but Tim Flink is leading work to extend Taskatron to support container testing. The next thing that we're working on is something that we actually had to carry over from F24, and that's automating signing. And this is an input. Both of those things really are inputs to our ability to automate our processes so that things are hands-free and fast and event-driven. So those two things lead into the third item here, which is currently labeled as Jenkins. The technology is under discussion, but this is automating our Docker 2-week releases. So we will be introducing a 2-week refresh cycle similar to what we have for Atomic for Docker, where we refresh all of our images every 2 weeks. So our list of images are sure to grow quickly as we go. So we'll need to have that automated if we want to rebuild and test and release everything every 2 weeks, because that'll be a lot of work. So we'll also be continuing some of the work that we started in F24 on OSBS so that we have a good Docker registry solution deployed. So we'll have that in place for F25. Right now, we're just using the distribution registry to get us good enough registry support for what we've got in place now. We'll also be doing work to support non-RPM content in Bodhi. So this is a big deal, and it's going to enable us to do things in Bodhi for containers, but it'll enable us to do things in Bodhi for all kinds of non-RPM content. There's also a big project that's going to be starting in F25, and it's going to extend over multiple release cycles. This should be fairly transparent to most people, but for people who are involved in it today, it'll be a major undertaking and a major effort savings once it's done. And this is our Koji Hub consolidation. So this will be consolidating all the secondary arches that we have onto a single hub so that we're not doing the same steps over and over for various arches and instead can just do them once. And then the last thing that we're committed to and ready to start working on, again, is another OSBS set of work, and that is really just to extend the redundancy and failover, and adding support for multi-master, multi-node, just getting a more robust OSBS environment deployed. So this will prepare us to support all of the containers that we expect to be coming in. I won't go through the need more info section or really the nice to have section. Feel free to look over those, and if you have any questions, you certainly know where to find us. The point of the nice to have changes is that they're things that we want to work on during this time period, but we're not willing to commit to having them done. So we may get changes ready to just push live in the next cycle. If there's no impact for one or more of these things, then we may be looking at pushing them live before the next cycle, but it's not anything that we're confident that will get done. So those are up in the air whether or not we'll see them delivered. But that is all I had to run through today. So let me stop sharing my screen. And I'll just have a quick check to see if there's anything that we need to follow up on, and I don't think there is. So we'll go ahead and wrap up this demo for today. The demo next month will be on regular schedule, so we'll check in with you guys to show you the work that we've wrapped up for F25. Again, if you have any comments or input on the planning that we're doing, please feel free to find me. I'm A. Carter in Fedora-RelEng, and we can have a conversation about it then. Thanks, everyone.